Self. Descartes' theory of the theater of consciousness versus the theory of perception generating consciousness. Regarding the essence of self, there are two diametrically opposed interpretative paths in the history of philosophy. Descartes' theory of the theater of consciousness views the self as a spiritual entity independent of matter, while the theory of perception-generated consciousness believes that the self is merely a byproduct of the flow of experience. Descartes' theory of the theater of consciousness compares the self to an eternal observer, existing independently of the constantly changing content of perception, akin to an audience in a theater, whereas contemporary theories of perception-generated consciousness argue that the self is not a predetermined entity, but rather a product dynamically constructed through ongoing perceptual processes. These two paradigms represent the fundamental disagreement between essentialism and emergentism regarding the self, with the former emphasizing a priori cognitive subjectivity, and the latter focusing on how the interaction between the body and the environment gives rise to self-awareness. The divide between these two theories not only concerns the understanding of cognitive architecture, but also touches upon the ultimate question of who we are. Is there an eternal and unchanging core of the soul, or is the self merely a temporary narrative constructed by the nervous system to explain experiences? The former holds that the self is a unified, stable, rational, spiritual subject, akin to an observer watching the world within the brain. The latter argues that the self does not exist inherently, but is the result of continuous construction and renewal through sensory experience, emphasizing the shaping role of external environment and bodily perception on the eye. Neurophenomenological research has shown that when the brain's default mode network is damaged, people's sense of self significantly weakens, providing physiological evidence for the perception generation theory, but also leaving behind a new version of the Cartesian puzzle. If the self is merely a byproduct of perception, why do we have such a strong experience of identity? I am Wu Huayu, a PhD from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and a postdoctoral fellow from Peking University, and the founder of AI Philosophy. In addition to this short video, you can also click on my avatar to view more long videos.